Welcome back for another session of Make Your Horse Thirsty. This week, I want to talk to you about something that's a little bit more personal to me, and that's the concept of self-story. You see, I'm not supposed to be in a position where I'm able to share ideas with fellow professionals. When I was 7 years old, I was diagnosed with seizure disorder. By the age of 13, that diagnosis had been upgraded to Soto syndrome. Now, when a person gets the label of disabled, people start to interact with them differently. For myself personally, what began to change is a message that I received from the adults in my life. If I didn't turn in an assignment on time, it was because it was too much work for me and I wasn't able to do that much work. If I didn't get a good grade on an assignment, it's because I wasn't as capable as my same age peers, so I couldn't do what they're capable of doing. Effectively, all of my teachers, all of my adults sent this universal message that I wasn't as smart as everybody else. And when everybody in your life starts to send this message that you're not very intelligent, something interesting happens. A voice begins to form in the back of your head and says they're all wrong. Because none of us want to be stupid. None of us want to accept that we're not very intelligent. And so we protect ourselves, or rather, our brain protects us. And so we have this voice that says, they're all wrong. I'm plenty intelligent. I'm just not trying. And once that voice forms, effort becomes terrifying. But you see, if you were to put forth effort, if you were to try, you'd have to challenge that voice. And you might find out that you really aren't that smart, that what everybody's saying is correct. And so it's safer to tell yourself that you're plenty intelligent, you're just not trying, than it is to try and potentially find out that everybody's right, you're just not that smart. And so for a long time, I never put forth any effort. When I did begin to try, I found out I was capable. I found out I could do it. I was plenty intelligent. They were all wrong. But it took a lot for me to be willing to take those first steps. Now, I share this story with you because a lot of the students that we work with in corrections have had negative experiences with their education. And as a result, they have those same negative self stories that I once held. A lot of your students that don't try, a lot of your students that act like they're too cool for school, that don't seem to have any motivation to learn, they want to learn, they want to earn their education. Oftentimes, though, they don't believe it's possible. They either don't believe they're smart enough or they don't believe they're the type of person that does it. At any rate, they have some story that's telling them they can't earn their GED. And until you can change that story, until you can get them beyond that fear and get them to a point where they're willing to try, they're going to be right. They're not going to earn that GED. Now, what we have to do with these students is we have to take baby steps. We have to move slow because we want them to see early success. Give them work that they're more than capable of doing. If you know that algebra is really where they need to be, put them in fractions as far as math is concerned. You give them a fraction sheet, they get all those questions right. You get an opportunity to say, hey, wow, you're telling me you're not a math person, but looking at this sheet, you got most of these right. You're doing really well here. You seem to be capable of doing math. It allows them to experience success, to see that if they try, they might succeed. It allows you to really reinforce that success, to send that message that you are capable, and to begin to change that self-story. You take a couple of steps up, you give them a little bit of success, and what you're really doing is you're working them through the challenge of eventually you're going to move them into algebra where they're challenged. And when you do, you're going to tell them, hey, we're going to move into something that's going to be a little bit harder. You've been doing really well on these previous sheets because, well, you know this stuff. Now we're going to work on something that I don't think you know quite as well. So expect a few setbacks, expect to struggle, but know that through that struggle, you're eventually going to find that success. The great thing about taking this approach, the great thing about getting these unmotivated students through their GED is that you send the message that with hard work and effort, you can be successful. When these students experience setbacks, because we all do as we learn, you're there coaching them through them, reminding them, look at the progress you've made, look at how far you've come. What can we learn from this failure? So you didn't quite get what you wanted. How well did you study? And by putting in these questions, by giving them these things to reflect upon, what you're going to find is that these students are getting the message that through their failures, they need to learn. And when they get released, what's going to happen is that they're going to face many setbacks upon release. But through all those setbacks, they're going to remember, hey, I got my GED and I didn't think that was possible. You know what? I can succeed as a productive member of society too. I can succeed on the straight and narrow. And they're going to use those lessons that they learned through failing forward to continue to fail forward as they try to reintegrate into society. So as you look at your students and as you find the students that simply don't seem to be willing or interested in learning, ask yourself, what type of story is this student telling himself? And what can I do to change that story to one of I can be successful? I'm Blaine Cronrath.
I'm Jim Mahler.
Until next time, continue to make your horse thirsty.